I mean, if it's just discharge right out of the gate, I can wide guard and poison gas. Let's see if I can get away with that. Terra Electric on the Miraidon. It is discharge. I don't know why they didn't Electro Drift Zamazenta there, but we take those. We missed the poison gas into Palkia. We landed into Miraidon. We confused Miraidon. Welcome back to VGC Legends. This is the series where I spin a wheel, get a random legendary or mythical Pokemon, and by episode 78 of this series, you probably know the rest. So let's go ahead, spin the wheel, and see what we're getting, I guess. Oh, what do you know? It's Pecharunt. Pecharunt was, as previously mentioned, very fitting to be the last Pokemon remaining on the wheel, as it is the current last Pokemon in National Dex order, at least at time of recording. Maybe we'll have learned something about Mega Dimension by the time this goes up, I don't know. But it also is very fitting for one other thing, and that is poisoning opponents, and also confusing them, because it has the unique ability Poison Puppeteer, where the one thing always follows the other. It also has a signature move, Malignant Chain, and I'm going to pull that one up right now because I don't remember what it does. So, 50% chance to badly poison the target. That's pretty good. Also 100 base power. Oh, but I feel like I've seen Draft League players use this and barely ever get the poison, so... It's also, I think, not a spread move, is that correct? I guess we'll find out together. It doesn't feel like it would be a spread move, just off the name and whatnot. Anyway, Pecharunt is physically bulky, it's good at poisoning things, and it gets a little extra perk when it poisons things, so I think the goal with Pecharunt is going to be to poison things. That means then that I want teammates that can take advantage of things being poisoned. I'm thinking Dondozo, I'm thinking Tatsugiri, I'm thinking I still have one other restricted slot, and for some reason, well, I can explain the reason, but the one on my mind is Shadow Rider Calyrex, but I'm not very convinced. The reason I'm thinking Shadow Rider Calyrex is it's the fastest restricted Pokemon that actually gets any significant amount of use. Speed Form Deoxys is faster, but I don't think I've ever seen one of those, and I've played quite a bit of Reg J at this point. But... okay, Attack Form Deoxys ties with Calyrex. That might be worth thinking about, actually. The idea here is something very fast, and something that can outspeed opponents and get KOs, with Pecharunt helping it to get KOs. While I also have the option of outbulking things with Dondozo. I don't have to do it that way, right? I could use a tanky restricted like Zamazenta, which also takes advantage of opponents being poisoned because it's hard for them to remove it in the limited time that they have. And actually, Zamazenta is also nice here because it complements Pecharunt in that it beats the dark types that offensively threaten Pecharunt, and it also beats steel types that are immune to poisoning. I would have to... that's pretty good synergy. I would have to get some kind of cover for opposing poison types. I guess like Weezing opposing Pecharunt, any kind of stray Terra Poison. I would need something to hit that hard. That seems doable though. I could still use some special offense, although Pecharunt, if I run Malignant Chain, is itself not bad for that. I mean, base 88 special attack, it's kind of bad for that. Its main job is to poison things. Wouldn't mind some recovery as well. Shadow Rider Calyrex could handle poison types, but it doesn't really bring the rest of what Zamazenta brings to the table. And also, it has overlapping weaknesses with Pecharunt, and so does Attack Form Deoxys. So I think I like Zamazenta as the other restricted. But I feel like there are multiple reasonable ways to build this. Honestly, Miraidon could also be worth considering just because it gets so many KOs into all kinds of things. Honestly, Miraidon might be the best option, actually. Because of exactly what I just said. The problem with Miraidon is it gets outsped by not a lot of things, but some things. And if I try to engineer it not to, like with a Choice Scarf set, then I'm compromising on the damage, which isn't really what Miraidon wants to do. I mean, Scarf Miraidon and Assault Vest Miraidon have both had some success, but it's not, I think, what I would want it to do on this team. It's an interesting thought, though, right? Because Miraidon matches up neutrally into all the stuff I just talked about. Dark types, steel types, poison types, and if Miraidon matches up neutrally into you, then it's most of the time going to be favorable, actually, for Miraidon, because it's just so strong. I think I like Zamazenta. Zamazenta is a Pokemon I'm more comfortable with than Miraidon anyway. Yeah, actually, there's one very notable poison type that I didn't think to list earlier, but it's a pretty significant problem for what I've built so far, and that's Amoongus. Especially if it runs Clear Smog, which most of them don't, but it's not unheard of. That could be frustrating for Dondozo. But also, Amoongus can put Zamazenta to sleep. I mean, I could run Terra Grass on Zamazenta. I've done it before. But Amoongus can put Zamazenta to sleep otherwise, and I can't poison it, and it can pivot around with Regenerator. And it can be paired with Incineroar. Zamazenta threatens Incineroar until they terrestrialize it, but they can do that. And otherwise, Incineroar with Intimidate, maybe Will-O-Wisp, Fake Out, Knock Off into Pecharunt. That's also pretty difficult for my team to deal with. And I don't think Miraidon instead of Zamazenta would patch that up either. So I think that might honestly be number one here, is trying to break Incineroar or Amoongus. And then some of the other poison types, which are not as common. I mean, Weezing could be an issue, but some of the other poison types, which are not as common, can go along with that. I think Landorus might be reasonable on this team. It threatens Incineroar. I'm not sure what it does to Amoongus. It threatens Weezing as well. And Terra Poison stuff and opposing Pecharunt. I think Landorus is worth thinking about. Or like some kind of ground type at least. It doesn't have to be Landorus, but that's one of the strongest ones. Nobody else is exactly jumping out at me. Why am I blanking on what beats Amoongus though? What gets like Defiant, Competitive? If I want to punish Incineroar. I guess there's a reason that Incineroar and Amoongus is such a good defensive duo, and it's not as simple as run thing that beats them. I got on Tornadus. Honestly, don't hate that. Tornadus gives me some speed control. It gives me Rain, which could complement Dondozo and Landorus in some positions. Taunt things. Tornadus is not... I wouldn't run Defiant Tornadus, but it so happens that the search for Defiant Pokemon has given me the idea of putting Tornadus on this team. Alternatively, there's always like Galarian Articuno, but how does Galarian Articuno help with Incineroar? Or rather, how does it not just lose to Incineroar even after it gets the competitive boost? Gothitelle gets competitive. Definitely only remembered one of that Pokemon's abilities. I think Tornadus is actually pretty reasonable. Does it do enough? Why can't I just think of one great Pokemon that completely blows up Incineroar and Amoongus? Well, like I said, probably because that's a good defensive duo. Go figure. Actually, you know what could work? So here's someone we haven't seen since early in the series. Defiant. Super effective stabs into both of those two. Maybe Landorus is not so interesting anymore then. Although, I still need answers to like Weezing. Maybe Pecharunt can beat Weezing, right? I mean, I probably run... Does it get Hex? It doesn't get the power boost into Weezing, but still hits Weezing's weaker defensive stat. And what does Weezing do back to Pecharunt? Galarian Zapdos feels kind of silly on this team, but if I'm bringing it for one specific matchup... Because I think I would just bring these first four Pokemon to most games. Then that's not so bad, is it? And then what else do I need to beat? Oh, I need to beat opposing Zamazenta somehow. Oh, you know what? I think Landorus might actually be coming right back. Because I need to beat opposing Zamazenta. I also need to beat Koraidon Weezing stuff. The Koraidon is not as... Well, if I run Terra Grass Zamazenta, which I'm now not so sure I do, the Koraidon might be scary as well. I feel like there has to be a better way to build this. But again, it's just bulky core with poisoning, and then a couple of specific matchup pieces. This would come to Incineroar or Amoongus games. This would come to maybe opposing Zamazenta. Actually, no, I'd probably just try to beat opposing Zamazenta with my Zamazenta and Dondozo. So then what am I worried about? Weezing teams? psychic types are there? I'm so used to running restricted ones. I'm having trouble thinking of unrestricted ones. Armor Rouge, Galarian Articuno is back. Maybe, oh, there's always Cresselia. That's actually not the worst idea, because it can also heal its teammates. And make the team somewhat tankier and harder to bring down. And it can help me get through Trick Room turns, I would think, in some positions. Although, this team is not that bothered about speed control for the most part. There's Indeedee. What does Indeedee do, though? Redirect Koraidon, get knocked out, maybe get some helmet chip on it. There's Iron Crown with a booster energy since I'm not running electric terrain. That's actually... I can see a case for it. I can see a case for Iron Crown, but I think I prefer Cresselia. Cresselia also gives me another threat into Amoonguss, so there's another different way that I could play against that. It feels like I'm not finding it feels like I'm finding reasonable 5th and 6th pieces, but I'm not finding the right combination of 2 5th and 6th pieces to tie everything together properly. And like, what is Cresselia? Actually, I think Cresselia is good because I can also... It's pretty easy to mix and match onto the team, right? I don't have to bring Tatsugiri every time I bring Dondozo. If I make Dondozo very bulky, and I make... Well, Zamazenta just inherently is bulky. Then Cresselia being able to hang out and heal them can have value beyond what Tatsugiri brings with the right matchup. And then am I just so worried about Incineroar and Amoonguss stuff that I stick with Galarian Zapdos? I don't know that that's optimal. I'm going to move it down to the last slot because it's so matchup specific. But I think that's reasonable. I think that I'm not bringing my 6th Pokemon to most games when I have this 5 anyway. I feel like this team has come out a little bit weird in the end, but these probably are the 6 that I'm going with. So for Pecharunt, I want Poison Gas, I want Malignant Chain, I think I want Hex, and I want Protect. Am I missing anything that I would rather have? I mean, Shadow Ball is probably more consistent than Hex, but the boosted damage on Hex is kind of hard to turn down. And actually, Pecharunt doesn't have a very deep move pool, does it? This is probably fine. Item and Terra type. Pecharunt is weak to Ground, Dark, Psychic, and Ghost. Terra Dark covers most of those by itself and also is Prankster immune, which could shut down attempts to stop my Poison Gas. And Dark being weak to Bug, Fairy, and Fighting, none of those attacks are threatening into Pecharunt before it terrestrializes. So opponents are discouraged from clicking them. I think Terra Dark makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't be surprised to see if it's the most used Terra type on this Pokemon, though I haven't checked. I want the leftovers on Dondozo. I could run Black Sludge on Pecharunt, but I think that's actually silly because as soon as I turn it into a Dark type, the Black Sludge is detrimental. There's Citrus Berry, but that's bad in front of horses. Oh, how do I beat Shadow Rider Calyrex with this team? Oh. Huh. How do I beat Shadow Rider? Terra Dark, I guess, helps, but what about the rest of the teammates? Well, this might be Scarf. I think it's probably going to be Sash Zapdos. I think I want to be able to switch moves, considering what matchups I'm bringing it to. Although I also want to run Brave Bird on it. It could be Scarf Zapdos with, like, Throat Chop. I do think that's more likely, actually. Like, Choice Scarf. Terra, honestly, if I'm going all offense with this, probably Stellar. And then what? Close Combat. Brave Bird, Throat Chop. U-Turn? I could run Tailwind, but I don't think I need it. I guess that's part of my Shadow Rider answer. It helps if Pecharunt actually can, or probably Pecharunt can bait out their Terra. Anyway, I was thinking about Pecharunt's item. What's the Ghost Resist berry called? I could always just do that. Or Colbur berry. Kasib berry. I don't feel strongly about which. Maybe Citrus berry will do for now. And then I'll find it underwhelming. But it's not like every team has a horse. Zamazenta. Terra Grass still feels reasonable. I could do Terra Dragon, because fairy types are threatened by Pecharunt. They're not threatened by much else on my team, though. And Pecharunt's not really an offensive piece so much. Terra Grass gives me more cover against Amoonguss than just bringing Zapdos or Cresselia. And Amoonguss can definitely stall out some modes with his team, so I do have to take it seriously. But I feel like because I've invested so much into beating Amoonguss, my gut is saying something like Dragon or Fire instead. Fire is reasonable, I think, because Dondozo can cover its weaknesses. Zamazenta isn't really a Pokemon that you want to switch out, but it doesn't hurt to have the option. I'll pencil in Fire. We can always change it if it's performing badly over the course of the laddering session. Let's do a typical Zamazenta set there. Dondozo wants the leftovers. Dondozo wants Unaware. Dondozo wants... I could run Earthquake because I have 2 immunities, but they're the 2 Pokemon that I feel least likely to bring to any given game, and my restricted Pokemon are both weak to it, so I'm not that wowed by Earthquake. But wait, Dondozo doesn't care about his teammates anyway, because a lot of the time, a decent amount of the time, the teammate is going to be Tatsugiri, and Tatsugiri won't be able to take damage from anything. I could do something like that Dondozo I had trouble beating. I think it was last episode. That was like order up, substitute, protect. What was its last move? Was it Wave Crash? I don't think so. What was it? I don't remember. But that was a Terra Grass Dondozo. That one had evasiveness boost from Drifblim. That was part of the picture, right? Because they dodged a lot of my attacks when they were behind the substitute, but I'm willing to play with this. I will put in Wave Crash. I don't know that it makes the most sense, but absent a strong feeling about some other move on Dondozo, I think I'm good with the stab. Tatsugiri, if the Choice Scarf is held by Zapdos, let's give the Focus Sash to this. Definitely the attack boosting form. I'll go Terra Ghost so I can avoid Fake Out in a clutch situation. I'll go Muddy Water, Draco Meteor, and then just take your choice of... Actually, I don't have to choose. I can run both of them, Hydro Pump and Icy Wind. There's also a case for Dragon Pulse, but I think this combination of 4 moves covers most situations. Zapdos is done. Cresselia. Put Terra Dark on this as well. Leftovers and Citrus Berry are both unavailable. We can go Covert Cloak. And then just like... Psychic. Because I wanted to threaten Amoonguss. I could do Ice Beam or Icy Wind. And I definitely want Lunar Blessing. If I have the Covert Cloak, I don't necessarily need Protect. I could do Icy Wind, Lunar Blessing, Trick Room, in case Trick Room is ever useful. This team still feels a little bit off, but I think the main mode is going to be frustrating for some opponents to deal with, and that's definitely what we're hoping for with a team like this. And also, I've been at this about as long as one of these typically goes. So, for the very last time, let's try this legendary or mythical Pokemon out on the ladder. Let me just check whether it can be shiny first, since I remember to do it right now. I'm sure it can't. And I'm correct. Okay. Goodbye, shiny Pecharunt. You don't look that interesting anyway. The yellow's a little bit weird. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. But I'll fill in the EV spreads, and then it will be time to start laddering, of course. Oh wait, I've done something a little silly actually. I filled out Tatsugiri's set as if it has the Choice Scarf, when it doesn't. It's really Zapdos that should be more afraid of Fake Out, so I've changed it to Terra Ghost accordingly. And Tatsugiri, I think I could give it Protect. I kind of want to keep 4 attacks because all of these attacks are situationally useful. I think since I have Icy Wind on Cresselia and this team is kind of indifferent to speed control anyway. Actually, I might prefer Ice Beam on Cresselia to really try to snipe opposing Landorus. Because Landorus is actually very threatening into this team, huh? Well, what I was going to say, this team being kind of indifferent to speed control, I think I can change Icy Wind to Protect. I think I can change Tatsugiri's Terra type to Stellar. I am going to go with Ice Beam on Cresselia. Sorry, I just had a few more thoughts about the team after I paused the recording, but I think this is what I want now. Tatsugiri and Zapdos have swapped Terra types. Tatsugiri is properly accounting for not being choiced, and Cresselia still doesn't do great damage, right? But being able to do somewhat more to Landorus I think could be valuable. So this is what we'll go with as I fill out the EV spreads, and then we jump to the finished product. Probably after this next cut, right? Okay, the team still looks weird to me, but I think I've said enough about why it is the way it is, so let's go. Laddering time. Mic working? Oh, I would have been unhappy to find out the mic wasn't working this time. Okay. Miraidon, Lunala, Urshifu, Chi-Yu, Whimsicott, and Ursaluna. Tail Room. Miraidon and Lunala stuff. Very strong, very hard to break. What do I lead into, like, anything with this team? I feel like I kind of just have to lead Pecharunt and Zamazenta a lot of the time, right? Maybe I should have focused these 2 slots on building out more flexible leads, but let's just try that for this game. With you-know-who in the back. They laid Chi-Yu and Miraidon, so Zamazenta is immediately in a lot of danger. So is Pecharunt. I have a lot of special bulk on Pecharunt, but I bet it's not going to show. Honestly, I'm willing to Poison Gas, protect Zamazenta, let Pecharunt go down if that means I get Dondozo in, so be it. Takes a Dark Pulse. They Electro Drift into Zamazenta. Okay, so we'll get my Poison. Never mind. Okay, I don't get my Poison Gas. And I've given Zamazenta a Terra type that doesn't resist Electric. Maybe I did need Terra Dragon. So that would give me resistances into both of these. I'm going to go ahead and make that change right now. Actually, this one bit of data makes me feel very differently about it. I think I'm going to... What do I do? What do I do? Can I get rid of this Chi-Yu? My guess is no, Zamazenta doesn't take the hit that's coming out here. Oh, it does take the hit. Okay. That could be iffy with Electro Drift in their terrain. But I've let my 2 lead Pokemon take a lot of damage, and all I've gotten in return for that is Chi-Yu. And I still have a problem. I probably should have let Pecharunt go down here because I can't hard switch in Dondozo. I could Terrasilize Dondozo in front of Miraidon, but I can't switch it in. Like, if Dondozo's already on the field, this is a good position for it, but... I think I'm just about to lose 2 Pokemon here and then have to try to sweep with Dondozo. So, that's the kind of game this is going to be. Let's go for Poison Gas and Body Press into Miraidon. They cover for the Protect on Zamazenta by targeting Pecharunt with Miraidon. I get a Body Press, but it's not into the right target. And it's all up to Dondozo now. And that happened way too quickly. That is not a good start for this team. No reason not to Terra Grass makes no difference against Lunala, makes a huge difference against their other 2 Pokemon. And try to get rid of this Urshifu as soon as I can. Because it hits through Protect, obviously, and while Surging Strikes is resisted, it still crits through my stat boosts. I do quite a bit of damage to Dondozo right off the bat. The good news is, of course, we ignore the Meteor Beam boost thanks to Unaware. But like, there's not much value in protecting as long as Urshifu is still here. I think I don't have enough damage to beat Urshifu and I just lose. Oh, I don't even beat Lunala. I do have Unaware, right? I didn't misenter that. Alright, well, terrible first battle. Oh, Tatsugiri is already in battle. Right, that's just how it works. Terrible first battle here. Hopefully it'll get better. But the Pecharunt poison stuff just completely overwhelmed in its first game by the sheer power level of the good teams in this format. Honestly, I thought it would hold up better than that. Maybe in some matchups it will, but that was really rough. Miraidon, Palkia, Electivire, Farigiraf, Ursaluna, Incineroar. This is a little bit different. What does Electivire do that you run it instead of Electabuzz? I know it hits harder, but it doesn't hit very hard. Are they trying to set up Motor Drive with Discharge? That could be it, right? It's definitely going to be Discharge Miraidon, actually, because Palkia gets Telepathy, Electivire gets Motor Drive, which Electabuzz does not, and Ursaluna is a ground type, so that's 3 different teammates immune to Discharge. That's not going to be an accident. Let's try the same lead that was really not good last game. I can Wide Guard at least in front of Miraidon. And I have Terra Dragon on the Zamazenta this time, although this is probably another game where I'd rather Terra Grass Dondozo. They don't have an Urshifu, so I can't protect in front of this team without just being punished for it. I've been forgetting to have timer on. There we go. Yeah, I mean, the only lead that immediately threatens Zamazenta is Miraidon, but that's kind of... I don't have an analogy in my head right now. It's kind of like going to Kalos and saying, you'll be fine, you're only allergic to croissant curry. Okay, and we get Miraidon Palkia lead. I mean, if it's just Discharge right out of the gate, I can Wide Guard and Poison Gas. Let's see if I can get away with that. Terra Electric on the Miraidon. It is Discharge. I don't know why they didn't Electro Drift Zamazenta there, but we take those. We missed the Poison Gas into Palkia. We landed into Miraidon. We confused Miraidon. I'll go for Hex into Miraidon. Another Wide Guard. I don't want them to think that I won't click it the second time and still try to cheese a Discharge against me. Alright, switches out. Okay. Missed a Body Press chance into Incineroar. Probably should have thought that one through a little bit more. The Hex does not come in handy. Yeah, I guess I was just better off clicking Poison Gas, which I'll go for here, and Body Press into Incineroar there. I'll do Poison Gas here. I would like to protect Zamazenta. Actually, though, Protect has a chance to fail after I just used Wide Guard. In fact, it's likely to fail. So it's a little bit risky, but I think I'll just Body Press the Incineroar here. They've already used their Terra. Okay, we don't get the Poison into anything, but if they let me get away with this... I was really looking forward to trying Pecharunt eventually. Because of course it's the only new mythical Pokemon in this generation, so the one that I've never had any chance to use before. I might as well just bring Totskiri in here. Try to get rid of this Ursaluna if I can. They might protect it this turn. Let's order up the Palkia. No, let's actually go for Substitute. This seems like a pretty good time to do that. And bring Totskiri in. Because Palkia is not that threatening into Dondozo. Might rather target Zamazenta, and Ursaluna probably protects to get its burn. Yep. I can Substitute here. Oh, they go for Spatial Rend into Dondozo, but it doesn't break the sub. I did guess wrong on that. Here I can Protect, get rid of a turn of their Trick Room. I was looking forward to Pecharunt because it was the only mythical Pokemon I'd never had a chance to use at all, ever before. But base 88 in most of its stats. I know that number has some kind of significance. I can't recall what it is, but it definitely doesn't hold up here. I mean, Spatial Run does so little. It does have a boosted crit rate. But that aside, it does so little that we should be fine to just Wave Crash the Ursaluna here. Does more damage than I'd like, actually. But now I've saved the Terra Grass, so they'll probably Choice Lock their Miraidon into an electric attack. I mean, I can also scout what they do with Protect, right? And get a little bit of recovery, but I think the Grass Terra will come in handy here. I do still have to beat Palkia, though. Electro Drift, okay. Yeah. Also, a Spatial Rend crit would kind of immediately unravel everything, and it is a boosted crit rate move, so let's go for Order Up into Palkia here. That still does so much. That Electro Drift still does... Yeah, there's the crit. Okay. Electro Drift still does too much damage in their terrain. Maybe I needed like a Rillaboom. Can I get a Draco Meteor into Miraidon here? It's Focus Sash Tatsugiri, so if they double target it, I can. Or if they don't double target it, I can. That's what I mean. Electro Drift goes into Zamazenta. Draco Meteor misses. Oh no. Rough episode between that flinch in game 1. I think the team is kind of bad also, but between the flinch in game 1 and now this. Accumulate all that poison damage on the Miraidon, but for what? They miss a Spatial Rend, but... well, if I crit Palkia, I still win, I think. It could happen. Oh, no. Crit wouldn't have won. Still not... Oh my god, they missed Hydro Pump. If I crit Palkia now, I can win. It wasn't quite over yet, but I didn't get the crit. Again, Spatial Rend has a boosted crit rate, so their crit was not as lucky as my hypothetical crit would have been. But that game actually came down to the wire. There was a chance there. And there was some wild luck on both sides, so not going to worry too much about that now. Arceus, Weezing, Shadow Rider, Calyrex, there are our buddies, Incineroar and Amoonguss. And Champao. I actually think Terra Ghost Zapdos is reasonable into Arceus. Can avoid an extreme speed, close combat it, and then also I can close combat, I can Brave Bird. This is the kind of thing that I was talking about bringing Zapdos for. Is Zapdos actually good? I wouldn't bet on it, but if ever it's going to prove itself, it's now. But then... what's the rest of what I bring? I mean, Zamazenta's really good in the lead. Let's do Pecharunt. Let's do Pecharunt, Zamazenta, Dondozo, Zapdos. Okay, it's Arceus and Weezing in the lead. I think I'm down. I don't get Poison Puppeteer, I assume, with Neutralizing Gas. I doubt that that would be exempt. I could just double target Arceus with Body Press and Malignant Chain. They just go straight for a Swords Dance. And they do have the bulk to handle... Don't get the 50% poison. It's also not Will-O-Wisp from Weezing, though. I was worried that it might be Will-O-Wisp Weezing. But Zamazenta's not burned. I'll protect Pecharunt here to cover for like a Shadow Claw or something. And just count on... Zamazenta doesn't have the Dauntless Shield boost, but still just count on it to take a hit. At least I have the Extreme Speed resistance. They could protect Arceus and Will-O-Wisp here, but if they do, what am I gonna do about it? The nice thing about the Weezing lead is both of my Pokemon are immune to poison. Both of my leads are. Poisoning. Poison the status, not poison the type, obviously. But one of them is immune to poison the type as well. The other one double resists it, so pretty close. Yeah, they do protect Arceus. Could have gone for Heavy Slam into Weezing there. But, I mean, when Arceus just sets up a Swords... Okay, there it is finally. When Arceus just sets up a Swords Dance in your face, you want to take that seriously, I think. Maybe not. This is Galarian Weezing, so it's actually... it takes neutral damage from Malignant Chain. I feel like I might as well try that. And a Body Press into Arceus. Should still do a lot. Yeah, and at +2 attack, it still doesn't take out Zamazenta. So even though Zamazenta is burned, we still get rid of the Arceus. We get a bit of damage on the Weezing. And it's not terrible damage. And who's coming in? Shadow Rider, Calyrex, and Zamazenta is kind of just primed to lose to that. The Weezing went for Dazzling Gleam, but Pecharunt is faster. I don't need the Terra Ghost on Zapdos now that I've beaten Arceus already. I think I want a Terra Dark Pecharunt here. And either Hex or Malignant Chain into Calyrex. On this team, Calyrex might have a Focus Sash, it might not. That could make a pretty significant difference, although I do have the Scarf Zapdos in the back and they don't have Tailwind anywhere. So I think I'm okay to Terra Dark and Hex. I would love to protect Zamazenta, but it's taunted. I don't think I let the Calyrex have the free KO here, so I'll switch out to Dondozo. Maybe I didn't need to do that. Honestly, the answer to that might depend on whether it's not Hex Calyrex's Life Orb. Oh, it survived, or it's not Sash Calyrex's Life Orb. It survives the Hex, but it can only attack one more time now. Before it drops to its own Life Orb. I'm willing to sack Dondozo for that. I'll go for Substitute, though, if they let me get away with it. Calyrex goes for Astral Barrage. So that'll take out Dondozo, but also Calyrex. That leaves Wheezing. I get my berry. I didn't even think about that. That leaves Wheezing and Chien-Pao, which probably has the Sash. Shiny Chien-Pao, very nice. Shiny Chien-Pao seems a little polarizing. I've seen some people complain a lot about its design. I don't think it's the best of the three. I think that's, or the four. I think that's Chi-Yu, but it might be the second best of the four. I think it's good. I like it. How do I not lose to that Pokemon right now? Well, I can double into it. It probably has a Sash. It could take out Pecharunt here. Maybe they take out Pecharunt with something. Actually, I'm going to go Hex into Wheezing and Heavy Slam into Chien-Pao. And I'm just looking at... It has Sacred Sword. Okay. I was just looking to break a Sash so that Zapdos could knock it out. The fact that I didn't do that this turn might cost me the game, but the Wheezing is still not crazy threatening, although I do have two Fairy weaknesses on the board now. I think I'll just Brave Bird and Malignant Chain the Chien-Pao here, try to get rid of that. Protect. Of course it protects. I don't know why I didn't think about that. They know it's their greatest threat too. Now they get to burn Zapdos. This Wheezing has just sat on the field and burned everything. Can't say I didn't call that Wheezing was a problem for my team, but perhaps I didn't do enough to deal with it. Maybe this team did want a Landorus, although that would have trouble dealing with Chien-Pao. Okay, but Pecharunt with that crazy outlier physical defense stat does take the Sacred Sword. The problem is, I can knock out Chien-Pao and then I lose to Wheezing. I'm going to say Chien-Pao protects here. Brave Bird, Wheezing, maybe a crit. I don't crit. The game ends, so that means I lost. Man. I don't think I built this team right. I'm also getting pretty consistently reasonably strong opponents, judging by their ratings, but yeah, I think Pecharunt just has trouble keeping up in this format, although that defense stat was nice there. But I didn't think it would take this long to win a game. Let's see if I can beat... This is an interesting team. Mimikyu, Gumshoes, Miraidon, Oranguru, Magearna, and Sableye. They have a few unusual Pokemon, and most of them are from Gen 7. For a second I thought maybe this is a mono Alola team, but then I saw Miraidon. Sableye might appear in the Alola games. I don't know whether or not it does off the top of my head. So you could still call it an Alola Pokemon if it appears in the region, right? Again, don't know if it does. But Miraidon, certainly not. What does Gumshoes do? What does this whole team do? Well, can I please poison and confuse some things now? They don't have a Wheezing, so I get access to Poison Puppeteer. Honestly, Zamazenta doesn't look amazing here. Well, it can stand up to some other threats. And what else? What am I bringing instead into this? Here we go. Maybe I would have been better off with a Shadow Rider Calyrex or my own Miraidon. There's a pretty obvious synergy on paper between Zamazenta and Pecharunt, but there's just not much offensive burst with this team. Now I feel like Pecharunt is kind of a sitting duck against this Miraidon, but let's just Poison Gas and... The fact that I keep saving my Terra for Dondozo is also awkward for Zamazenta. Let's just Body Press Miraidon. They Volt Switch Zamazenta. Okay, that's not that bad. It's no Electro Drift. We can get a Body Press into Magearna. I assume they're setting Trick Room with Mimikyu, but let's see if I can Poison and Confuse it first. I can. It has a Lumberry, which... okay, didn't know that interaction. You get two status conditions at the same time. The Lumberry cures both of them. Okay. Let's Malignant Chain and Wide Guard here. Cover for Dazzling Gleam Magearna. It's Terra Fire Magearna. Okay. Oh, Fire Terra Blast. I don't think I've seen Terrafire Magirna before, but it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if it's clever or I've just been missing it, but... yeah, they get a Soul Heart. I don't get the poison with Malignant Chain. I do get Dondozo. Dondozo is... I mean, they could have Will-O-Wisp on Mimikyu, although with this setup, probably not. Dondozo does go crazy into this Magirna, I would think, and also ignores Mimikyu's attack boost. So let's just switch Pecharunt out to Tatsugiri right now. This would be a good time to have Earthquake on Dondozo. Maybe I don't need Wave Crash. Maybe Wave Crash isn't even all that good. I do like that I ignore their stat boosts. Order up into Magirna. If I can get boosts on Dondozo beyond what it already has just from Commander. Yeah, that doesn't do too much. That has a boosted crit rate, and they get the crit immediately. I don't think yeah, I think... among other problems, I think the Wave Crash recoil is massively sabotaging my own Dondozo set here. I'm going to go ahead and change that to Earthquake right now. Okay, we both protect here. They rough into Dondozo is fine. I mean, Shadow Claw crit only did 21%. I think I Wave Crash Mimikyu here, though. Because, I mean, I am getting worn down. I don't know why they stopped clicking Shadow Claw. But okay, that boosted crit rate is off the board now. Trick Room is over. Magirna could set it back up. Terra Grass Dondozo. You know what? I'd love to protect here for the healing, but actually I think I Terra Grass to deal with whatever the Miraidon is throwing at me. And then I order up the Magirna to knock that out before it can Fire Terra Blast my Grass type. I think that's what I have to do here. I also think it's reasonably strong here, but Miraidon's going to hit so hard with Electro Drift all the same. Okay, 16%. I mean, the damage is adding up, but we take out Magirna here. If I left Magirna alone that turn, I was worried it would set Trick Room back up, and then it would be able to Fire Terra Blast Dondozo before I could do anything to Miraidon, so that's why I didn't feel like I could protect there. Protect on the Gumshoes. It's not choiced Miraidon. I guess I could have figured from how little the Volt Switch did to Zamazenta. Can I get it with an order up here? Oh, Dondozo's so low. What does Gumshoes do? Well, first we take out Miraidon. Last Resort. Okay, Protect and Last Resort. So it's just hitting as hard as it can with that normal type damage. But that means it has absolutely nothing to hit Pecharunt. I can just Draco Meteor and Malignant Chain here. We don't even see what the Gumshoes goes for, but its only moves are Protect and Last Resort. So it went for Last Resort there. And that does nothing to Ghost types. That was a really weird team, but this team here did win a game, largely on the strength of Dondozo. I don't want to stop just yet. I have lost 3 and won 1, but I did just make a change to Dondozo's set that I think will make it better. So I think I'll at least play until I lose 1 more. And see, sometimes I have a really rough start to one of these, but if I play a few extra games, I can more or less break even over the full run. I don't know if Pecharunt is up to that task, but let's see. Ho-Oh, Grimmsnarl, Raging Bolt, Miraidon. That is so much powerful boosted electric type damage. They have Iron Bundle, so Terra Grass Dondozo doesn't have so much cover into these. This looks like a nightmare for they also have Ho-Oh. This looks like a nightmare for this Dondozo. And Dondozo has kind of had to be the main carry on this team, which is admittedly kind of awkward. And I didn't think about Ho-Oh at all in the builder. I have nothing for it. It can burn Zamazenta, it can burn Dondozo. Cresselia just isn't an offensive threat. Neither is Zapdos, and Ho-Oh can wipe that out with a Brave Bird or burn it. I have nothing for Ho-Oh except, I guess, Poison Puppeteer. So I feel like I have to lead Pecharunt in this one, almost. And maybe switch it out if I don't see Ho-Oh right away. I mean, let's just do what this team does, I guess, but... have I even brought Cresselia to a game? Cresselia has not felt worth it at all. And here I am with absolutely nothing for Ho-Oh. Please let me have your Iron Bundle here. That would simplify things a lot for Dondozo. I mean, there'd still be Ho-Oh to deal with. They're electric. It's just going to be Electro Drift into Zamazenta. No, it's into Pecharunt. Okay. It's Sash Bundle, though. I genuinely think it's worth it. I'll go for Poison Gas. Take the risk there, but I genuinely think it's worth it to target Bundle with both of my Pokemon here. Oh, they can do that. I see. Oh, but Zamazenta survives, so I do get to take out the Bundle. Yeah, that really simplifies things for Dondozo. I still have to beat the Ho-Oh somehow. I think the best case for me here is actually that they knock out Zamazenta. So I'll let them do that. Because I have to get Dondozo in somehow. But then what? Do I Terra? Do I not Terra? It doesn't work, does it? But it's, I mean, I just have to try. Yeah, they take out Zamazenta, they set Tailwind, okay. Now they can click whatever they want into Dondozo. You know what I can do? That's a Gary. Terra Grass. I don't think they click Sacred Fire this turn. Any other turn they might. But I can go for Substitute and get that up after both of their attacks have come out, which I'm hoping are Brave Bird and, I mean, I guess Electro Drift. I think that's Choice Me right on. They crit the Electro Drift. How does that do so... Alright. I said I would play at least one more game. I think that is going to be it. This team just is not it. That's going to be it because this team is not it. Can I get an accuracy drop? Kill the last turn of their terrain. I've been a little bit unlucky sometimes, but the team has also just not worked. I kind of figured, like, I got the impression Pecharunt was one of the mythical Pokemon that people were actually using on the ladder. Maybe it was the novelty factor. I do feel like I haven't seen very many in a while. But this thing's stats are pretty underwhelming. If I want to click Poison Gas, I can use Wheezing for that, and it doesn't take a restricted slot. Malignant Chain feels like it never poisons anything. I've seen that in other people's Draft League content, and I'm feeling that way in this video as well. It's a shame. I was kind of excited for Pecharunt, but, I mean, I think to some extent, I just don't know how to... I'm just going to bank on them hitting themselves every time from now on. Okay, so far so good. I was excited for Pecharunt, but... I mean, I probably don't know what I'm doing with it, but also I don't think it's very good. But... such is the premise of this series, right? I've said every time, I'm going to build a team quickly. I'd say they've taken about 10 to 15 minutes for the most part. Some a little more, some a little less. And I'm going to make some good ones, and I think I did at some points. And I'm going to make some bad ones. And I'm going to make some weird ones, which is a statement that implies nothing about whether they're good or bad. It's a little unfortunate that the last Pokemon on the wheel goes out like this, but Bad Teams was part of the premise of the series, and I'll have to think about this one later, but have I gained some insight on what kind of thing does not work in a high-power format like this? I think it's possible that I have. Anyway, that was the wheel. That's the end of the original premise of the series. There's going to be a bonus episode or two that functions differently, but I can't say anything about what's next on the wheel because there is nothing left. GG.